Hello and welcome to a new edition of Echo at Africa, our weekly environmental magazine. Today, we are in the lagoon area of Ikoyi, Lagos, Nigeria, and it is windy. But here's what we have coming up. How hydroelectric power became so important for a village in Rwanda. A German app is helping to prevent food waste, and how a smart idea is helping to reduce maternal mortality across Africa. But we would like to kick off today with a special event, the official launch of Echo at Africa in our capital, Abuja. Speakers from both Germany and Nigeria underscored partnerships such as this one between Channels Television and Deutsche Welle are key to raising global awareness of environmental issues and also provide a platform for sharing experience and solutions. Among those invited to the event were some well-known Nigerian eco-heroes.
There were good reasons to celebrate in Abuja at the official launch ceremony of the program Echo at Africa. It's the first collaboration of its kind between a German and a Nigerian channel. CEO of Channels TV, John Momo, was delighted.
And also make awareness possible.
So we're really excited today that we are expanding our coverage footprint to the subject of the environment, which, as we all know, is under threat.
The CEO of Deutsche Welle, Peter Limburg, highlighted the role of media in battling environmental problems.
First of all, I think we have to open minds for people, to bring them the idea that environment is nothing which you can just ignore. It's vital for every one of us. And I think we as media can open minds. We can help. This is our contribution.
This show won't merely provide information. Its aim is to present new points of view and spark debate.
We need the media.
Do you think there's enough environmental awareness in Nigeria now, or does it have to be raised?
There is not enough awareness on environmental issues in Nigeria, especially when you are talking about the issues of climate change.
Portraits of environmental leaders form an important part of the show.
We started in Kaduna as a result of the environmental challenges that we had. We are saying that no woman should die while providing the basic social amenities to humanity, to our lives.
Echo at Africa showcases innovative concepts and best practice projects from Africa and Europe. The magazine is interactive, encouraging viewers to upload stories of their own environmental initiatives.
What do elephant paths have to do with conservation? How can a plastic bottle become a paving stone? How do algae make clean air? A good idea can work anywhere. And there are people developing smart solutions everywhere. Eco at Africa, the Environment Magazine, on DW and Channels.
And now to a corner of the continent, Eastern Africa, known for being home to the largest flamingo population. Kenya's Lake Bogoria National Reserve in the northwest of the country also has a reputation for being very successful at balancing the interest of nature with those of the local people.
Chief Warden William Kimosop is a man who likes to take things in hand. But here, he can only watch helplessly. Up to 2 million dwarf flamingos used to wade in Lake Bogoria. They were the main attraction in this Kenyan Rift Valley Nature Reserve. Now there are only a few tens of thousands. For quite a while, they've been leaving in droves. There's a reason for that. Flamingos live on the blue-green algae in the lake. It used to have a high salt concentration, and the algae grew well. But lately, the salt in the lake has been diluted by fresh water. Kimosop says that's due to movement in the rock layers under the lake. In 2011, it was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The lake seems to have fallen out of time with little human intervention. Lake Bogoria is considered a well-managed nature reserve. But William Kimosop has no influence over the disappearance of the flamingos.
Our management response to that is our continuous monitoring by the scientists. They do the water sampling in different areas to check on all the factors, including the algae level, the pH. Nature is sometimes it is the best way to do is just to understand it. But in many ways, you cannot change much. We are very much dependent on its own cycles.
There are no fences. The people in the surrounding area and their animals have free access to the reserve. It's under local administration, and that's how the people see it, as their nature reserve. Heavy rainfalls and flooding are frequent. Local people are allowed to build temporary shelters in the nature reserve. But that can also lead to difficulties. This woman has just told Kimosop that her goats were attacked by a baboon.
They could have killed the baboon, yes. But then all of a sudden they also remember that they are living, the water displaced them and they are living in that same area. In a situation like this, we all depend on each other. And that is actually the essence of our management approach.
The reserve's hot springs are a major attraction. John Bereke teaches a school class about why they bubble here. Bereke is one of about 50 people from the surrounding villages who work in the nature reserve.
That's why we are out in
The boys here have learned something and had fun boiling eggs a la Bogoria.
There's no man who made the water to boil, so it's a natural process and everybody is excited to be here.
The young people here are the next generation protectors or conservationists, and we couldn't get it better than giving them information here.
There's been a drought for months. The farmers' pastures are dried out. They're allowed to take their cattle into the nature reserve. The credo here is finding compromises that benefit everyone. William Kimosop refused to make compromises with Philip Yator. Yator used to be a notorious poacher. Now he's a good farmer and member of a community group.
When I was just poaching the kutus, Kimosop come and tell me that you have just to do bad. Now, can you just leave these things because it is just a few in our leg? Now, I just left the kutus.
Philip has since inspired many other people that they have come out and say, yes, this thing is bad, I think we need to do something else.
And the flamingos? For them, the past few months' drought has had its good side. William Kimosop says the salt content of the lake is rising again and the algae are multiplying. So there's hope flamingos will once again flock in their millions to Lake Bogoria.
Sometimes small things can have a major impact. Growing up in a village without energy can provide a child with the space to tune into that dream that might otherwise be drowned out by the din of the television. Anastase Tabaro dreamed of flying and even built small planes. They did not lift him to great heights, but once his inventor passion had been ignited, he used it to build a hydropower plant for his village. That endeavor elevated him to local eco-hero status under the full glow of the electric light.
For people in the village of Nasho, 60-year-old Anastasi Tabaro is a hero. He brought electricity to the small hamlet 3 months ago when he supervised the building of a small hydroelectric power facility. Now Tabaro has come back to Nasho to check that everything is working properly. The 60-year-old constructed the plant with men from the village. Here, at the water's source, is where it all began.
At the start, my wife thought I was crazy. The neighbors all told her, divorce that guy. Your husband has lost his mind. But then they saw that I could earn money from hydroelectric power. Our neighbors suddenly came to me and they wanted to buy electricity.
The most amazing thing about the story is that Tabaro taught himself how to build a generator to convert the water power into electricity. The self-taught engineer spent years learning about the technology so he could give his 9 children electric light in their home village.
We were poor, and we wanted to earn money and get electricity for our village. We had nothing other than diesel generators and petroleum. So I thought, why shouldn't we use the power of water? That could make our lives easier.
200 households in Nasho now enjoy electricity. That amounts to a revolution in a remote region beyond the grid, where people live from what they grow in fields or gather from the forest. Small-scale initiatives need support if they're to succeed, and the Rwandan Ministry of the Environment helped Tabaro's project become reality. Yves Tuyashimi advised Tabaro on how to create hydropower plants in villages, and Rwanda says it plans to increase support for renewable energy sources.
They help to protect environment. You know, when you are using renewable energy like this hydropower plant, we are reducing dependence on fossil fuel, petrol, and that's why we encourage this kind of project. So we are here to see if Anastas, this kind of project he has made for this village, can qualify for carbon market. There's a way they can get carbon credit so that to finance this project.
In the past, there were no small businesses in the villages. But now, young people like Eric Munyaneza see a future here. At the age of 20, he's opened up his own barber's shop.
I used to use diesel generators, but that was loud and expensive. It also stank. Everything's better using hydropower. I've hired assistants to cope with demand. Sometimes customers even have to stand in line to get in.
Anastasia Tabaro's idea has made him famous in Rwanda. Today, he's returning to his home village, around 300 kilometers away. He also has a dream for his country.
I'm old now. I'd like to teach the next generation how to build small hydroelectric power plants. I'd like them to continue my work and use all the water power that Rwanda has at its disposal.
Before Anastasia Tabaro sets off back home, he takes one last look and one last picture of the power plant. That way he can show other villages how easily the facility works.
So, here we are in a restaurant on Amadubele Way in Lagos. But we're not talking Lagos or the food and the restaurant. We're talking Germany, where retailers are not allowed to sell goods that have passed the expiration date on the produce they stock, regardless of the fact that much of it is still good and could keep for days and sometimes even longer and for weeks. Now, the upshot is the huge amounts of unnecessary food waste. There are various efforts that are in the works to solve this problem, and one of them comes in the form of an app. Let's take a look at it.
Meet Bernd Sauer, 28 years old and a student in the city of Cologne. Today, he's trying out the new Food Loop app. His cell phone shows him which supermarkets in the vicinity have signed up for Food Loop. He finds an organic supermarket right around the corner. It has a number of things on offer that catch his eye. The products listed on Food Loop are approaching their sell-by date. Many of the foods can still be eaten even weeks after the date, but retailers aren't allowed to sell them anymore. First, Bernd spies a jar of sun-dried tomatoes. When he scans the barcode, the app shows him the price and the ingredients.
it has 25% off. He's also seen a dairy product that's on special offer. Products nearing its sell-by date are marked in the morning with a label. The director of the supermarket, Lutz Grösel, hates being forced to throw away food.
The best before date doesn't mean the food is no longer edible, and yet the foods are just thrown away. We as retailers are forced to adhere to legal requirements where sometimes you think this is crazy, like a best before date on a bag of sugar.
Ein Mindesthaltbarkeitsdatum bei einer Tüte Zucker?
Foodloop founder Christoph Müller-Deschent got the idea for the app while studying in the US.
I was working at Starbucks, and each night we had to dump products that were fresh. It came to over €1,000 a month. So I started taking the products and selling them to local stores.
Today he employs 9 people. By next year, he plans to have covered his outlay costs. It's all possible thanks to sponsorship money and awards from 5 different continents. Right now, he's looking to expand his customer base.
Plus Fresca is a Spanish supermarket chain. We're working with them through an EU sponsorship program to get Foodloop working in all 70 of their stores.
And what do the potential customers think of it all?
Yeah, I find that helpful, and it saves money too.
I used to throw food away, but now I'm careful to only buy as much as I can eat.
No. I'm very picky when it comes to the best before date. If it's even one day over, I wouldn't eat it.
Bernd Sauer has now made it to the checkout. Thanks to the Foodloop discount, he saved €2 on an overall bill of just under €9. So could he imagine using an app like this in the future?
Yes, it's a good way of saving money and helping to ensure things don't get thrown away.
But he'll have to wait a while. The app is still only a pilot project in Germany. The major supermarket chains have yet to sign up.
So we're still talking food. But have you ever wondered about the distance it takes or it travels to get to your table? It's a surreal thought, but a lot of produce travels hundreds and thousands of kilometers before it ultimately gets to the consumer. That said, buying locally is not always an option. So what should anyone keen to minimize their environmental impact by reducing the journey time be aware of when going shopping?
Every day, more than 140 tons of food arrive by air in Germany alone. Typical for an industrial nation where consumers can rely on a huge selection of products. The goods have often traveled halfway around the world before ending up on supermarket shelves. Mainly fresh, perishable produce is transported by air. Other goods are sent by ship. Fish is flown in from Africa and Iceland. Vegetables like asparagus come from Peru and green beans from Kenya. Exotic fruit like papayas, guavas, and mangoes come from Africa, Southern Asia, and the Caribbean. But how harmful to the climate is transporting food by air? Importing food from abroad causes on average 11 times as much carbon dioxide as using locally grown produce. Transporting goods by air generates the highest emissions. For example, flying 1 kilogram of asparagus to Germany from Chile causes 50 times the level of CO2 emissions as transporting the same quantity from Spain by truck. If the asparagus travels no more than 100 kilometers, then emission levels drop to just 17% of those caused by shipping them from Spain by road. Cycling to a local field to harvest your own asparagus is the most environmentally friendly option, as this causes 0 CO2 emissions. And what about eating produce when it's not in season? The locally grown apples we buy in spring have spent the entire winter in cold storage at temperatures of 1 to 3 degrees Celsius and at controlled humidity levels. That costs energy. So in fact, apples from New Zealand can be a lot more environmentally friendly than local ones at certain times of the year. especially if they're shipped to Europe by sea, because this causes up to 200 times less CO2 emissions than if they were flown in. But the best thing is to buy regional produce and eat fruit and vegetables only when they're in season.
It's a logical idea that pregnant women should get access to emergency care as soon as it is needed. But the lack of adequate power supply makes the meeting of that need almost impossible. Well, a team of a husband and wife are working tirelessly across Africa to change that.
More than 800 women die every day during childbirth, many as a result of frequent power cuts. Without electricity, blood reserves cannot be cooled, and sometimes doctors have to use the lights from their cell phones to carry out operations. Laura Stachel wants to improve these conditions. Together with her husband, she invented a portable, easy-to-use solar suitcase. Inside are 3 solar panels that charge a battery. When there's an outage, it can be used to power the lights in an operating room and a blood refrigerator. Around 1,300 hospitals have already benefited from a solar suitcase. They're a huge success. In some, the maternal death rate dropped by 70%. We like that. Are you also doing your bit? Tell us about it. We'll share your story.
Staying in Africa, we go to Ghana, where waste and pollution are big problems. A group of young people who dub themselves the hipsters of nature wants to change that. They have made it their mission to try to find creative ways of keeping their neighborhoods clean and tidy. But to ensure that they live up to their hipster name, they have given their initiative a cultural twist.
It's annoying, dangerous, and smelly. Beatrice Dossa has had enough of all the trash in her hometown of Accra. It's clogging the drainage channels, and that could cause floods, like the recent ones that killed more than 100 people. Beatrice says attitudes need to change to prevent another disaster.
If we don't stop this attitude of throwing waste around anyhow and not finding a proper way of managing it, more people are going to be affected by the floods. We don't want anybody to die from flooding again.
3 years ago, Beatrice launched the group Hipsters of Nature. Members meet regularly to look for creative and inexpensive ways to teach people about environmental protection. The activists have high hopes the younger generation will want to do more for the environment. At one school, they use plastic bottles and bags to show the children what conservationism is all about.
They taught us that we should keep our environment clean. And when we don't keep our environment clean, someone of us can get sick and die.
The aim is to have fun while learning about serious matters with a garbage fashion show. Clothes and accessories are made of thrown-away plastics, cardboard, and metal. Even the parents are impressed. The hipsters hope the kids will carry the message with them.
We have hope in the children because they are ready to learn. And when we empower them, they will be like the ambassadors and spread the message out there.
The Hipsters of Nature are volunteers. They undertake projects like this huge wire bottle in their free time. They hope it will encourage people to dispose of plastic bottles responsibly. The group depends on supporters like Helen List. The Australian operates a beach hotel in Accra. Every day, her team of cleaners pick up garbage on the beach. The drainage channels in Accra flow directly into the ocean, where the tide pushes back plastic bottles to the shores.
Makes it difficult for my guests to come here and swim. It's not a great view anymore from the restaurant or any of the facilities in the hotel, so it does impact on my business quite negatively, I think.
Recently, the activists celebrated World Environment Day with school children at her hotel. Now they plan to team up to win over the authorities for their fight against the growing tide of waste.
Well, on those efforts to keep the environment clean, we want to say thank you so much. And that's how we wrap up this edition of the show. As always, we hope you enjoyed yourself. For more on our coverage of the environment, check out our website. It's showing on your screen. You can also send your comment via social media platforms. Till we bring you another edition, bye-bye.